And here you have the zone where the AI characters will be able to move freely. And what happened is that the Nav Mesh automatically create a space where the AIs won't be able to walk, and place it, let's say, on this position. And let me reduce the radius to 100. Get to the corner, and now click to bottom, and the character jumps. Welcome to a brand new series where we explain artificial intelligence programming in Unreal Engine 5 step by step, not ChatGPT and not external AI tools. The real AI system inside Unreal that powers NPCs, enemies, companions, and anything that needs to move and behave intelligently in your game. And today we are starting at the exact place where Unreal AI really begins, navigation. Because before an NPC can chase you, patrol, escape, or even feel believable, it needs to understand where it can go, where it cannot go, and how it should move through the entire level. Today we are going to break down the navigation system in Unreal Engine. We'll work with Nav Mesh Bounds Volumes and defines what they do, how they generate walkable areas, how you can visualize the Nav Mesh inside your level, and how you can modify it to control the routes your AI can take. Then we'll introduce two more key actors that unlock a lot of real game behavior. The Nav Link Proxy, so your AI can traverse gaps, drops, jumps, or special connections, and the Nav Modifier Volume, so you can change or restrict navigation areas dynamically. This is the Game Creator Accelerator channel, and I am Tony Munoz. If you want to enjoy the full series and you don't want to miss any new episodes, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell. This helps you follow along as we build a complete understanding of how AI can be programmed in Unreal Engine 5, and it also gives you access to other Unreal tutorials, plus strategies and methodologies to build a successful path as a game developer. We are creating a third-person shooter from scratch named Mad Gameverse, and the entire process is also on this channel, free for you. Check the link in the description. And don't forget to visit woolen.com to learn more about our lifetime mentorship program. Discover how it is transforming career transitioners into game developers, and set a time to chat with me directly. Remember, it is woolen.com and the link is in the description. Now let's jump into Unreal and start with the Nav Mesh. To present the navigation system, I will use two different projects, both of them created with Unreal 5.7.2. So click Launch, select New Project, and pick Third Person, Blueprint, Target Platform Desktop, Quality Maximum, Variant Known, and let's set the name AI Nav System and create. As soon as you are inside the game, you will be prompted with this level, which is pretty simple, and it allows us to play with a character in third person. What I want to do first than anything else is to present you what is the Nav Mesh Bounds Volume. A Nav Mesh Bounds Volume is a big invisible box that tells Unreal, hey, inside this area I want my AI to know how to walk. Let me show it with an example. To add a Nav Mesh Bounds Volumes, go to Place Actors, move to Volumes, and you can find it from the list here, which is called the Nav Mesh Bounds Volume. Be careful that you are not picking the Nav Modifier Volume. That's another one. Let's click and drag inside our level and move away. I'm going to drag the volume, which is this cube, around this section, and now I'm going to extend this volume. Using the key R, we can extend the volume to whatever we want. Let's say something like this. I'm going to extend it horizontally as well. So let me go to the top and extend it on this side. And let's say that the zone that is covered by this volume will be the zone that I want my AI to be able to walk freely. To watch this space with more clarity, click P. And here you have the zone in green where you will be able to identify where the AI characters will be able to move freely. As you extend this area, let's extend it horizontally, you will see that this value also extends. You can also extend it vertically and also move it in any direction until you find exactly what is the space that you want the AI to be able to walk. At this moment, if let's say an AI started in this section and you wanted to move to the top, that character will be able to take this path or this path, depending on the distance to the target. And of course, of what are the restrictions that it has for moving. To explain it pretty simple in terms of what the mesh bounds works, when you place this box in your level, Unreal will generate this green map on the floor. And that green map is what we call the actual navigation mesh. If the green area doesn't show in some sections, like here, it means that the character won't be able to walk through these spaces. The Nav Mesh Volume is basically the sandbox where your AI is allowed to think and walk. Important to mention is that the Nav Mesh Bounds doesn't move, it's the AI character. The Nav Mesh, what it does is that defines the world where the pathfinding is possible. Once you understand this, controlling AI movement becomes a lot easier. If by any chance you can't see this information, the green navigational path, go to Edit, Project Settings, and look for Navigation System. And confirm that you have the auto-create navigation data, check. And in the world settings, go to Navigation, System Config, and confirm that you have the auto-spawn missing nav data. When you have a Nav Mesh bounds to your scene, you will find it here in the outliner. But you also add another component automatically, which is named the Recast Nav Mesh default. The Nav Mesh Bounds Volume only tells Unreal where navigation could exist. The actual work is done by something called the Recast Nav Mesh, which is this one. This is an invisible actor that calculates the walkable surface, builds navigation triangles, and gives AI the information it needs to move. If the Recast Nav Mesh becomes corrupted or stuck, the Nav Mesh won't show. In that case, deleting it and adding a fresh Nav Mesh Bounds Volume forces Unreal to rebuild clean navigation data. So keep that in mind. Also important to mention is that once a Recast Nav Mesh exists in the level, adding more Nav Mesh Bounds Volumes does not create new Recast Nav Meshes. You normally have just one Recast Nav Mesh per level. And an important parameter to mention related to the Recast Nav Mesh is the runtime generation. If you change this value to dynamic, it means that it will change as objects are removed while you are playing the game. And of course, it has extra cost for the computers that are playing this game. At this moment, we're going to take static because we're going to define this navigational space for the AIs before running the game. Nevertheless, it's an important property to keep in mind. Now let's take this surface that at this moment is defined as a navigational mesh and add a new actor. Let's pick from geometries and add a box. Look at that, I added the box inside the space for the nav mesh. And what happened is that the nav mesh automatically create a space where the AIs won't be able to walk. That means if they move, let's say, to this position and they have to walk through this one, then it means that they will take one side of the box or the other before going up through the ramp. And if I now decided to remove this box with delete, immediately the Nav Mesh Bounds is clean again. There are other two actors I want to introduce today, so you can have a clear idea of what you can do right now. Imagine that you at some point want to be able to allow the AI to jump from this section to this section. In that case, we're going to use something called the Nav Link Proxy. Go to Place Actors, Volumes, and look for Nav Link Proxy. Let's drag it inside our scene. This will allow you to set two different points that will define a connection between, let's imagine, a bridge of two spaces that are not connected using the Nav Mesh Bounds Volume. Let me clean this. If you get closer, you will see 2 points related to a link on the left and on the right. Let me open this space. Having selected this object, go to the bottom and click this arrow where it says Point Links. Open the index and you have the left and the right position corresponding to left and right. Let's move the right a little bit more to create more space, and this will allow me to easily now select this object and place it, let's say, on this position. In fact, I can place it wherever I want. So now I am connecting this position here to the position on the top. And I can also do some adjustments as well at this point. Now, if I want that an AI move from this point on the left to this point to the right, because the point on the right is on the bottom, it will be able to jump from here to here. And in principle, I can move as well from right to left, because we have set this parameter, which is called the direction. At this moment, you can see that we have direction both ways. But the problem will appear when we try to move from this point to this one, because there is a difference of height and the character is not, well, in principle, won't be able to jump when reaching this point. So you need to be careful in defining the direction that those AIs will be able to move. The perfect design will be, in our case, to move from the left to right, as it is set here, left to right. But at this moment, I just leave it both ways. Before we go any further, I want to take a quick moment to talk to the people watching this who are not just learning Unreal for fun. If you're serious about becoming a game developer, if you are coming from another career or balancing this with a day job, and if you are tired of jumping from tutorial to tutorial without a clear direction, this is where everything can change. That's exactly why I created the Game Creator Accelerator Lifetime Mentorship. This is not just about learning Unreal Engine. Inside the program, we focus on building real projects step by step, understanding why a system works, not just how to copy them, and pairing that technical growth with strategies and methodologies so you can actually move forward as a game developer. You get structure, you get guidance, and most importantly, you get long-term support instead of being left on your own after a course ends. If you want to know whether this path makes sense for you, I invite you to visit woolen.com. There you can learn more about the Game Creator Accelerator Mentorship, see how it's helping career transitioners build confidence, consistency, and real momentum in game development. And then set a time to chat with me so we can talk about where you are right now and what your next steps could look like. The last element I want to cover is in place actors. Let's remove this filter and look for the Nav Modifier Volume. Drag it into the scene, and what you have here is a volume that won't be visible, but that will define a space that will be empty for AIs to navigate. You, as a player, will be able to walk through, but the AIs won't. By default, the modifier is defined as a cube, but you can go to the brush settings, and in this parameter, the brush shape, you can pick another kind of geometries. For example, a cylinder builder, and you can define the number of sides that you want. Let's say I want 5. And let me reduce the radius to 100. This will give you a clear idea of how it works for a third-person character video game. Let me save these changes, and now I want to create a new kind of project. Again, I will create a 572 Unreal project. Pick New Project, and in this case, select the top-down. Confirm that you have Blueprint Desktop, and let's name this one AI Top-Down. What is interesting about this project is that if you play it, you have your character and you can click to where you want the character to move, different to the third-person shooter. The way this works is because they already added a navigational mesh. If you click P, you will be able to see that space, and you can clearly identify the sections where your character will be able to move. If I play the game now, and let's say that I move my character to this corner and I wanted the character to go here, you can see that it's going to take this entire circuit because there is no way to move from this point to this one. Let's change that. Go to Place Actors, Volumes, look for the Nav Link Select Nav Link Proxy, place it here. Let's get closer. And now let's move this component to, let's say, this position on the bottom. We place it, let's say, here. And now let's check the directions. At this moment, we have both ways. Let's see what happens. Play, get to the corner, and now click to bottom, and the character jumps. Now let's say that I want to jump to the top. If I click, it tries, but because the jump mechanic is not set, the character cannot reach that point. That's why we have to be very careful on selecting the direction inside the parameters of the point links. Let's pick now, instead of both ways, from left to right, considering that this is the left and this is the right. Play again, go to the corner, let's see, jumps down, and if I click now here, it will go through the entire circuit until we get to that same point. And just to show also the feature of the Nav Modifier Volume, let's add a Nav Modifier Volume here, and let me extend it a little bit. Excellent. And now click here, go to the bottom. Awesome. And now let's say I want the character to go to this point. It's going to take the entire circuit because the character cannot pass through here. Remember that we removed this section with the Nav Modifier Volume. You now understand what the navigation system is in Unreal Engine, how the Nav Mesh Bounds Volume defines where AI can move, how to visualize and inspect the Nav Mesh inside your level, and how Nav Link Proxies and Nav Modifier Volumes let you control and shape AI movement in meaningful ways. This is the foundation. Everything that comes next in AI builds on top of what you learned in this video. In the next episode, we're going to take this a step further. We'll create our first AI agent, and we'll start playing deeper with navigation using what we built today to give that agent real movement and purpose inside the world. Help me support this channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episodes in this series and other Unreal Engine tutorials. If you want to start a transition into game dev after office hours, visit woolen.com. Learn more about our mentorship program and schedule a time to chat with me. The link is in the description. And now I want to invite you to watch my training about how to hack the gaming industry with a proper strategy, step by step. Until next time, keep creating, keep sharing, and most importantly, keep dreaming big. I'll see you soon, my fellow creators.